You think she's moved on because she's smiling in pictures, hanging out with new people, posting stories that look full of life. You see her looking happy, glowing even, and a part of you starts to believe that she's forgotten you. But what you don't see is the storm behind that calm face. What you don't realize is that moving on doesn't always mean healing. It often means hiding. She's not always smiling because she's happy. She's smiling because it's the only way she knows how to survive the emptiness you left behind. Most people mistake silence for peace, but for her, it's noise that never stops. Every time she laughs too loud or goes out too much, she's trying to silence that voice in her head that whispers your name in the quiet moments. When she posts something that looks like she's living her best life, it's not always about joy, it's about control. It's about trying to convince herself that she doesn't need you anymore, that she's strong enough to stand alone. But deep down, that strength isn't built on peace, it's built on pain. Every smile hides a question she can't answer. Why do I still care? She tells herself you don't matter anymore, but she still checks her phone when she wakes up. She still notices when you view her story, still wonders if you're seeing someone else. Even when she acts like she's over it, she's measuring her worth through the attention she gets because she's trying to replace the validation she used to get from you. Her version of moving on isn't what people think it is. It's not a clean break, it's a cover up. It's her way of saying, I'm fine, even when she's far from it. Because if she admits she still misses you, she has to face the truth that the connection you shared wasn't as easy to replace as she hoped. She thought she could walk away and feel free, but instead she feels uncertain. The world looks the same, but it feels emptier. The nights feel longer. The memories she tried to bury start creeping back in. She remembers your voice, your touch, your calm. And those flashes of the past don't disappear, they linger. She tells her friends she's moved on, but they can see it too. They see the hesitation in her smile when your name comes up. They notice how quickly she changes the subject when someone asks about you. She wants to appear strong, but strength isn't pretending you don't care. True strength is facing your emotions, and right now, she's not ready to. She's stuck in between wanting to let go and wishing you'd come back. That's why what she's really doing isn't moving on, it's holding on differently. She's trying to numb her emotions, not heal them. And maybe, just maybe, she wants you to believe she's fine so you'll feel what she's feeling. She wants you to wonder, to question, to miss her. Because if you do, then she's not the only one still tied to what once was. That's the truth behind the illusion. She's not over you, she's reacting to losing you. It's pride and pain mixing into one confusing blur. Her heart says reach out, but her ego says stay silent, and until she figures that out, she'll keep pretending she's moved on, even when her silence tells a different story. In the end, her actions aren't about you being forgotten, they're about her trying to forget herself when she was with you. But no matter how far she goes or how much she smiles, there will always be a moment when she looks around and realizes that the peace she's chasing is still connected to the person she let go. And that realization is when she finally starts to understand what she truly lost. When you see her acting distant, quiet, or suddenly changing her habits, it's easy to assume she's moved on. You start to believe she's completely erased you from her world. But what she's really doing is testing her own emotional balance, seeing if she can live without the comfort she once had with you. Silence becomes her shield, not her closure. It's her way of taking back control after feeling like she lost it. You might think her distance means she's forgotten, but in truth, it's the space she's using to measure your absence. Every moment you're not there, she's paying attention to what she feels and what she doesn't. She's trying to convince herself that the connection wasn't as deep as it once felt, but the heart rarely listens to logic. Her silence is full of questions she's too proud to ask. She wonders if you think of her, if you miss her voice, if her absence has any effect on your world, but she'll never admit that out loud. Instead, she'll stay quiet, hoping her distance will either make you reach out or reveal the truth of how much you cared. In a way, it's a silent test, not to punish you, but to protect herself because she's been through the emotional chaos before. She knows what it feels like to chase clarity and end up more confused. So now she's observing, not reacting. Her silence is a defense mechanism dressed as indifference. What she doesn't realize is that this same silence she uses to guard herself also deepens her thoughts of you. The more she tries to suppress what she feels, the stronger the memories become. It's ironic. She's trying to forget you by thinking of ways not to think of you. Every distraction brings her back to the same space where it all started, wondering what went wrong and why it still matters. It's an emotional loop she can't break easily, no matter how hard she pretends otherwise. And here's the truth, she's not truly at peace. Even when she looks calm, she's constantly questioning the meaning behind your silence too. Two people can be thinking the same thing, missing each other silently, while both pretending they've moved on. That's the emotional tug of war neither side talks about. She may tell herself that she's done, but the truth is, if she truly didn't care, she wouldn't need to act strong. She wouldn't need to prove her peace. So when you see her go quiet, don't assume it's over. That quietness is filled with emotion she's not ready to express. Pain, longing, curiosity, and confusion all tangled together. She's processing, not forgetting. She's fighting with her pride while her heart quietly hopes that maybe, just maybe, you still care. And deep down, that hope is what keeps her from truly letting go. She might appear confident and carefree, but deep down, her emotions are not as calm as she makes them seem. When she acts like she's moved on, it's often because she's trying to regain her sense of power, not because she's over you. After all, when a woman feels hurt, when she feels rejected, her first instinct isn't always to reach out, it's to protect herself. And the easiest way to do that is by pretending she doesn't care. The more she hides behind that calm exterior, the more she convinces herself she's fine. But that's the illusion of control, not peace. Inside, she's going through waves of emotions she doesn't fully understand. One moment she feels free, like she's finally breaking away from what hurt her. The next, she's flooded with memories, the laughter, the late night talks, the way you made her feel safe without even trying. Those flashbacks come uninvited and they hit hardest in the quiet hours when there's no one else around. That's when the mask slips. That's when her confidence fades into confusion and she starts to wonder if she made the right choice by pulling away. In those moments, she's not thinking about how to move on, she's thinking about what went wrong. She replays every word, every small argument, every time she wished you had reached out but didn't. She's not trying to blame you, she's trying to understand you. And that's what most people don't realize when she withdraws. She's not erasing you, she's analyzing you. She's trying to decode your silence. She's wondering if it's pride keeping you away or if you've genuinely lost interest. That question sits heavy in her heart, even if she never says it. You see, people often confuse emotional withdrawal with healing, but real healing doesn't come from pretending. It comes from acceptance, and she's not there yet. Her ego tells her she doesn't need you, but her emotions still whisper your name. She'll distract herself, maybe by focusing on work, going out with friends, or even entertaining new people. But those are just temporary escapes. They don't erase the bond she felt with you because real connections don't fade that easily. When something touches her deeply, it leaves an imprint and you left yours. Sometimes she'll compare others to you without even realizing it. A small phrase, a gesture, or even a tone of voice can remind her of you, and in that split second, all her progress unravels. It's frustrating for her because she doesn't want to miss you, but she does. She doesn't want to care, but she still checks if you viewed her story. She doesn't want to reach out, but she secretly wishes you would. Her emotions are contradicting her actions, and that's what eats away at her peace. The truth is, she's not heartless or detached. She's conflicted. She wants to be strong, but strength doesn't always mean silence. It means being able to admit what you feel without losing your balance. But right now, she's still learning that. So instead of reaching out, she hides behind her pride. Instead of talking about it, she convinces herself she's fine. That's the emotional wall she's built, not because she's over you, but because she's afraid of feeling rejected again. So when you see her acting like she's happy and unbothered, remember, it's not always what it looks like. What she's really doing is trying to protect her heart while keeping her dignity intact. She wants to appear unshaken, but inside, she's still wondering if you think of her too. And until she finds true closure, that question will always linger, no matter how confident she seems on the surface. Because pretending to move on and actually moving on are two completely different things. She might act like she's living her best life, posting new pictures, going out, smiling wider than before. But what she's really doing is performing strength. It's not that she's lying to the world, it's that she's trying to convince herself she's fine. Every image, every story, every laugh she shares is her way of saying, I'm okay without him. But behind those moments, there are quiet nights when her thoughts betray her. When the lights go off and the noise fades, she starts to feel the emptiness again, the silence that follows after someone who once felt like home is no longer there. That's when her confidence turns into reflection, and she starts to question if this version of happiness she's showing everyone is real or if it's just a distraction from what she still feels inside. In truth, she's not always as composed as she appears. Every time she looks strong, she's suppressing something deeper because real healing doesn't happen overnight, it happens in cycles. She goes through moments of peace followed by waves of missing you. She'll think about something small, the way you used to make her laugh, how you listened when she needed to vent, the comfort of knowing someone truly understood her, and for a split second she feels it all again. Then she shakes it off, pretending it's nothing. But it's not nothing. It's proof that no matter how much she tries to act indifferent, a part of her heart still hasn't caught up with her words. Sometimes she'll even talk to her friends, saying she's over you, saying it's time to move on, but deep down, she's hoping someone tells her you still care. It's a strange kind of contradiction. She wants to move forward, but doesn't want to forget. She's proud of her independence, but she still aches for the emotional safety she once had with you. And that's the hidden struggle she won't let the world see. She's trying to balance her pride with her feelings, trying to appear like she's rising above while quietly wondering if you're watching, if you notice how well she's pretending to be fine. Her actions aren't random. When she ignores you, it's not because you don't matter. It's because she wants to matter again. When she doesn't reach out, it's not because she doesn't care, it's because she's scared you don't. She's protecting her heart by staying silent, but that silence doesn't mean peace. It means restraint. She's fighting the urge to check up on you, resisting the temptation to text you, and every time she wins that fight, she feels both strong and miserable because her strength comes with loneliness, her pride comes with pain. Even when she seems like she's found someone new, it's not always about love. Sometimes it's about proving a point, even to herself. She wants to show she can be happy without you, but deep down, she's measuring every experience against what you once shared, and often it doesn't compare. She might not admit it, but she notices the difference, the lack of connection, the absence of emotional depth, the missing feeling of being truly understood. That's when she realizes that what she's trying to replace wasn't just a person, it was a bond that meant more than she allowed herself to admit. So while she might look like she's moved on, her mind and heart tell a different story. Every day is a quiet tug of war between wanting to reach out and wanting to prove she doesn't need to. But the truth is, she does still think of you. She still wonders if you miss her, if you've changed, or if you've already let go, because no matter how strong or far aid may look, deep down, she's not as detached as she wants to be. She's just trying to heal in the only way she knows how, by pretending she already has. There comes a point when her silence begins to change. It's no longer about punishing you or pretending she doesn't care. It becomes about reflection. When the noise fades and the distractions lose their thrill, she finally starts to sit with her own emotions. That's when reality starts to settle in. The people she surrounded herself with, the moment she filled with laughter, even the temporary attention she might have sought, all of it begins to feel empty. She starts to realize that none of it gave her the kind of emotional fulfillment that connection with you once did. The excitement fades, and what's left is the truth she's been trying to escape. She misses you more than she wanted to admit. At first, she fights it. She tries to convince herself it's just nostalgia, that she's only remembering the good times because she's lonely. But the deeper she reflects, the more she begins to see how rare that connection was. It's not just about missing a person. It's about missing the feeling of being known, being understood without having to explain every detail. You represent a comfort, a sense of safety she can't easily recreate. And now, when she compares that to the emotional surface level connection she has with others, she starts to feel the difference. That's when confusion turns into regret. In those moments of quiet reflection, she replays everything. The words she said when she was hurt, the time she let her pride win, the moment she could have chosen communication but chose distance instead. She sees now how her silence, which once felt like strength, may have created a wall too high for either of you to climb. She realizes that maybe you weren't the only one who made mistakes. Maybe your need to protect her ego came at the cost of something real. And that thought lingers. It's heavy because pride is easier to carry than vulnerability, but it's vulnerability that brings peace. She begins to understand what silence really does. It creates distance, not clarity. It gives temporary relief, not healing. And when she finally admits that to herself, she starts to question everything. Did you move on? Do you still think of her? Would it even matter if she reached out now? These thoughts haunt her more than she expected because they come from the place she tried hardest to avoid, her true feelings. She didn't expect to care this long, but she does. The emotional bond didn't vanish, it just got buried under her attempts to appear strong. Now she starts to see silence differently. What once felt like power now feels like loss. What once felt like control now feels like disconnection. And the more she realizes this, the more she understands the difference between moving on and moving away. Moving on means healing, moving away means avoiding. She avoided her feelings, hoping they'd fade, but emotions don't dissolve with time, they transform. They either become peace through acceptance or pain through denial. And she's starting to see which one she's living in. That's why slowly her heart begins to soften. She stops trying so hard to pretend she's fine. The walls she built to protect herself start to crack, not because she's weak, but because she's tired. Tired of pretending, tired of holding it all together, tired of missing you in silence. And in that vulnerability, she begins to see things clearly. Maybe it's not about winning or losing, being right or wrong. Maybe it's about understanding what really matters when pride fades and feelings remain. Because deep down, she never stopped caring. She just didn't know how to show it without feeling exposed. And when she finally admits that to herself, she realizes that moving on isn't about forgetting someone. It's about accepting what you felt and learning from it. That's when healing truly begins. When the silence stretches long enough, something unexpected happens. She starts to see things differently. Not from a place of pain or pride, but from a quiet kind of truth. All the pretending, all the distractions, all the emotional walls she built begin to feel heavy. It's like carrying a mask that no longer fits. She realizes that keeping up the image of strength and detachment hasn't made her feel powerful. It's made her feel lonely. The same silence that she once thought would protect her has turned into a mirror, forcing her to face the emotions she tried so hard to suppress. And slowly, she begins to admit to herself that maybe she hasn't really moved on at all. She's just been avoiding what's real. When the noise of the world fades and there's no one left to impress, she's left with her thoughts, her memories, and her feelings. That's when she begins to see that silence isn't healing if it's built on denial. Healing only comes when you can be honest with yourself about what you feel and why. She starts to understand that ignoring her emotions didn't make her stronger, it made her disconnected. She's been running from the truth not because she stopped caring about you, but because she didn't know how to face what that care still meant. And here's what often surprises her: while she was trying to look unbothered, she was still tied to you emotionally. The bond didn't fade, it just went quiet. It lived in the pauses between her distractions, in the songs that reminded her of you. In the moments when something small suddenly brought you back to her mind, that connection she thought she buried starts to surface again, not to bring her pain, but to remind her that what you two shared wasn't ordinary. It was real. And real connections don't just disappear because time passes or silence lingers. They leave echoes that stay until both hearts find peace. That's why when she starts to feel that ache again, she doesn't immediately resist it this time. Instead, she starts to reflect, not with anger or regret, but with curiosity. She asks herself what it all meant. She starts to see the lessons hidden behind the emotions. She begins to understand that maybe the silence wasn't just about losing someone, it was about finding herself again. Because while she was busy trying to act like she didn't need you, she forgot that needing someone doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. As her awareness deepens, she begins to see both sides, yours and hers. She realizes how miscommunication, pride, and fear built the distance between you. Maybe she expected you to read her mind, or maybe she stayed silent when she should have spoken. Whatever it was, she starts to take responsibility for her part. Not to blame herself, but to finally let go of resentment. That's what maturity looks like when pain turns into perspective. And in that moment, something changes. She doesn't want to pretend anymore. She doesn't want to be the girl who hides her feelings behind a strong face. She wants peace, real peace. Whether that peace comes from reconnecting with you or simply forgiving what happened, she's ready to face it honestly. Because true healing doesn't come from silence, it comes from truth. So maybe she does think of reaching out, not to rekindle something, but to clear the air, to speak the truth that silence never could. Or maybe she simply learns to carry the memory with acceptance instead of resistance. Either way, she finally understands that pretending to move on isn't strength, but having the courage to feel, to forgive, and to let go with love. That's what real strength is.